Warming up your body is so important. These are great wrist and forearm warm-ups for your handstand. Making sure that your hands are shoulders distance in a tabletop position, index fingers forward. I want to grab the mat with my fingertips, but also push down through the base knuckles. That's the knuckles right here. From here, I'm going to lift the heels of my hands off the ground, noticing that I'm pushing down through all of my base knuckles, even the pinky. My forearms are quivering here. Then I put my hands back down. Some of you might lean back. Don't do that. Keep the shoulders over the wrists and just go up and down. This is great to warm up the muscles in your hands, but also great to warm up the muscles in your forearms. The longer you do this, the more you'll feel it. Then from there, turn the hands around, wrists underneath the shoulders, bend the elbows, grip firmly into a fist, and begin to straighten and lower. Straighten and lower. Whether you have tight shoulders, weak shoulders, or just shoulders in general, it's really important to warm up your shoulders for handstand. So first thing to note is that a lot of times when you can't straighten your arms with your arms overhead, there's tightness in this line here between the triceps, the lats, maybe the serratus anterior. So dolphin pose is one of my favorite warm-ups for that. My elbows are a little more narrow than the shoulders. My hands come together and I interlace the fingers. This just makes it a lot more accessible. From here, I lift my knees up off the ground, drop my head, and come up onto the balls of my feet, bend my knees if I'm extra tight, push down through the elbows to lift the hips up, maybe even coming higher, straightening the legs, and possibly even bringing the heels down. Draw your ribs and navel in. The setup for your handstand is literally the setup for success, right? Because handstand's about stacking your body. So make sure your hands are shoulders distance. I like my index fingers forward. From here, my standing leg is underneath my hip, or the standing leg hip. I want to gaze between my wrists and draw my ribs and navel in. Notice the difference between that and that. So make sure you're in this position before you lift up. Then to lift, I want to lift my standing leg foot up into my pelvis. And hopefully that'll get my top leg right up over my pelvis. And one day I begin to balance in my handstand. This is great for those of you who are ready to move away from the wall. That means you're kicking up to the wall and you're barely touching it. Okay? If you're already in a back bend, you're going to end up falling into a back bend, so this one is not for you. Check out my back bend transition video. This is the cartwheel handstand fallout. So when you kick up in the L shape, ribs and navel in, and you over kick it and you feel like you're falling, you move one hand forward to prevent your legs from going over, and you bring your legs down to the ground. I'll show you that. It's a lot quicker when you're actually doing it. Hop up, hand forward, feet down. It might even look like a cartwheel out to the side. Try it. For those of you who fall into a back bend when you're trying handstand, first thing is you're probably already in a back bend. So what I mean by that is if you fall into a back bend right away, it's because you're kicking up and your ribs are already out and you're going over, ooh, into the back bend, right? So you need to get a little more stubborn when you handstand, as well as set it up so that your ribs and navel are in. And then the transition to the back bend is what you want rather than a fall. So ribs, navel in, you kick up, try to keep that shape, ribs, navel in. Don't lead with that top leg, and once you do, you're going to end up back bending. Once your feet land, push through the feet into the hands. If you're at a place in your handstand practice where you're kicking up, you're falling out, you're not afraid of that anymore, but you just can't hold the handstand itself, my advice to you is get stubborn. So what I mean by that is engage everything to the midline. Let's say you're kicking up and you just fall, oh, I just fall out. Maybe it's in a back bend. Before that actual fallout, I want you to hop up and squeeze everything together. Grip the mat with the fingertips. Squeeze the forearms, squeeze your butt, your core, your legs. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. And then maybe you come out. Get stubborn. This This one is kind of novelty, but for those of you who are holding your handstand, you have the strength to begin to hop up into the handstand and slowly lower down. And one of these tools that I'm going to show you now, the toe tap, really helps to kind of trick your mind into doing that. So let's say you hop up into your handstand. Maybe this has to do with hopping to the front of the mat. And you want to lower down as slowly as possible. I flex my feet, split them hips distance, and I aim as I come down to tap my wrists. Notice my hips come over. I try to tap my wrists before my feet land. I tap and bring them together and fold. Learning how to do scorpion in your handstand is a fun place to be, but using the wall is a great place to just learn the correct shape to make. So measure about a shin's distance away from the wall, put your hands down, hop up into your handstand, and bring both of your feet to the wall, making sure that your knees are bent like mine are. Heels on the wall at first. From here, I'm going to begin to melt my heart down between my arms and push down into my hands to really lift my head up as high as I can. Notice that I'm almost doing an upward facing dog in this shape. Then from there, I untuck my toes, bring the tops of my feet to the wall, and push my feet into the wall as I lift my head up. And maybe one day I can begin to try to kick my toes down to my head. With this one, you'll want to be able to hold your handstand. You'll also feel pretty comfortable falling into a back bend. Before you know, you can do this confidently. This is freestanding handstand scorpion. And I want to show you the ways that helped me work on getting there. Okay, I like to practice these at the back of my mat, so when and if I do fall over, my feet end up on my mat. From my handstand, I stag one leg and begin to charge my straight leg up and over my head. All the while, I'm lifting my head up, melting my chest through, counterbalancing my weight. Then I bring my straight leg toes towards my head and keep lifting my head up as I slowly begin to bring that stag leg, big toe towards the other one. Then for the final, toes down, head up, toes down, head up,